So let us start with the term offer. The offer has been defined in section 2a. When one person signifies to another his willingness to do or abstain from doing anything with a view to obtain assent of that other to such act or abstinence, he is said to make a proposal. So, when one person signifies to another, meaning in order to offer, there has to be two parties. So, one party is offering another his willingness to do or abstain from doing. So, here to do is, like, for example, I offer to sell, I offer to buy. This is to do. Abstaining is something which is uh, not to do something, like I won't play, I won't teach, I won't work. So this is like offering to not to do something. Abstaining is something which is not to do something. So this offer particular term we will be discussing in detail in upcoming sessions. But as of now, let us understand on a prima facie note as to how a particular person can do offer. So when one person signifies to another his willingness to do or abstain from doing anything with a view to obtain the assent. So the assent means the consent of the other. So basically what they are saying is, whenever you are offering, it has to be done with an intention that if you are going to perform as if the other party is going to give assent, to give consent. So for example, a shopkeeper may offer to sell, a plumber may offer to fix, a property owner may offer to lease, a small business owner may offer to partner with another business owner, and a company may offer a job to qualified candidate. So these are the examples for offer, wherein to doing an act, these are the examples. The another examples for abstinence is basically, these are the examples like non-competing agreement. Like for example, when a businessman or an employee may promise to abstain from working for another business or doing a competitive business, so that comes under non-compete agreement or non-disclosure agreement, wherein a consultant or professional, when in the course of executing the work, when he has obtained confidential information, he has promised to not to disclose it to others. So that is, we call it as non-disclosure agreement. And another couple of examples is restraint of trade, wherein a doctor may promise to abstain from practicing medicine in a particular geographic area as part of restraint of trade agreement. So generally what happens in the business scenario, competition happens and competitors may enter such kind of agreements to other competitors, so that the other competitors do not do business in the immediate vicinity of their business location. And non-solicitation agreement is also can be given as an example from the former employee may promise to abstain from soliciting customers or employees of their former employer. So generally they enter into an agreement with the employees by the employers. And option contract is also one example which you can give is for abstaining, wherein a seller may promise to abstain from selling a property to any other buyer for a specific time period. So what happens when they are offering this, the other party may accept or reject, but however whenever you are offering, it has to be with an intention to perform and having a view to obtain the assent. So whenever you are getting this assent, you have to perform your promise. The next term is that promise. So section 2b refers to that when the person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. So basically this is nothing but acceptance. So acceptance, we also call it as promise as per section 2b. So uh, when an offerer or promiser is offering to other person and the other person is accepting, so it we call it as promise. So promise to pay debt. If a person borrows money from other person, they promise to repay the debt. Or if the person is promising to deliver the goods, if a person orders goods from seller, the seller may promise to deliver the goods, or promise to pay service, to provide services, promise to marry, promise to perform a duty, so promise to transfer property. Whenever the promise is being made and the other person, if he accepts it, gives assent, it is said to be considered as accepted or promise. And the third terminology which we have to understand is the agreement. So agreement is defined in section 2e. So where every promise and set of promises. So promises, what we discussed is that section 2b, as per that, when the person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent thereto. So agreement, so it has to be a promise and set, or it could be a set of promises forming consideration for each other. So consideration is means something in return. So when the promises coupled with the consideration, we call it as agreement. So agreement is basically offer plus acceptance, and along with that there has to be a consideration. Only then we call it as agreement. So why are we discussing all this? Because we are eventually have to discuss the term contract. So in the contract, the term agreement is coming forth. In order to learn contract, we have to know the agreement. What is the meaning of agreement? And to know the agreement, we have to know the meaning of promise. And to know the promise, we have to know the proposal. And starting from proposal, we have discussed. So proposal is nothing but offer. So this is how you should learn this law. Each word has its own meaning and definitions as per the provisions of law. So proposal we are aware of, and then we are aware of promise, and then we are aware of agreement. So every promise and set of promises. So what happens when one party is offering to sell mobile phone for 10,000 rupees? He is offering. The other party, when he accepts it, so it becomes another set of promise. And for the seller of mobile, the consideration for him is money, and one who is buying it, the consideration is mobile phone. So consideration has to be there in order to meet the criteria of agreement. Now let us move on to the term contract, very important. So which is the subject matter of our business law, Indian Contract Act. Contract under section 2H, it is an agreement enforceable by law. It is an agreement enforceable by law. So an agreement, what we discussed is, it is offer acceptance with consideration, we call it as an agreement. But agreement is different from the contract, because in the contract this enforceability is very important. This is what it makes this contract special from the agreement. So enforceability means somebody is there to force you in case of default. See what happens in the example which I gave you, that when the seller agrees to sell his mobile phone for 10,000 rupees, supposedly if he defaults it from his promise, after collecting money, he should be handing it over the goods to the buyer, isn't it? Suppose if the seller do not fulfill his promise, then the law forces him to perform his duties. So this is how the Indian Contract Act protects the rights of the contracting parties. So various examples is enlisted here, like purchase order, service agreements, the lease agreements, the employment contract. When in each and every contract relating to purchase of goods, services, or employment has its own rights and obligations, which is casted on the contracting parties. So whenever the contracting parties are defaulting, the Contract Act comes to the rescue and helps the aggrieved parties. Aggrieved parties here means the party who is not at fault. So it rescues the contracting parties to become vulnerable from becoming vulnerable. So by supporting the aggrieved party and enforcing the defaulting party from performing the duties as agreed by them at the time of entering into contract. So as a regular day-to-day activities, you might have entered many types of contract like purchase of newspaper, purchase of milk, purchase of bread and butter, and also when you ride a transportation bus or auto rickshaw, you enter into a contract with such companies or such individuals. So this is the example for contracts. In our upcoming sessions we will be discussing the essential elements of valid contract.